Good evening. I'd like to call the Financial Budget Review Workshop to order for July 22nd, 2020. Would you please call roll?
Chairman Reinhardt,
Here.
Vice Chairman Lloyd.
Here.
Member Bush is absent. Member Prisicario is absent. Member Hoagland.
Present.
Thank you very much. All right, as we talked in the last meeting, any type of topics that you have, don't hesitate to ask the questions. If you have anything that you want to make as we go, like, hey, can we make a recommendation for this? Write it down maybe. At the end, we'll kind of discuss them, clarify our recommendations. Once the recommendations are set, we'll recess the meeting, come back, start meeting 3, discuss the recommendations, and we'll make we'll recommend the approval or whatever we need with recommendations. Any questions? Awesome, thank you. All right. Wendy, ball's in your court.
All right. Well, first to begin, thank you so much for the time. This is the fiscal year 21-2022 budget workshop for the Finance Committee. To begin, we'll have the city manager address the committee with his budget message and any items he'd like to discuss to begin forward. We'll have the then review and discussion in order of fund, and we'll start answering questions. Protocol that we've given is that we will present the budget. We are looking at variances above $10,000 this year. Those are the ones we'll focus. The departments have prepared their reasoning for the variance. If there's additional questions, we'll try and answer them. And if there's operational specific that you would like more information on, we'll have the city manager call that director and answer the questions. We'd like to keep them very streamlined, you know, so that we can get home tonight, like we said, before the sun rises. So I will give the floor to the city manager, Mr. Bill Sturgeon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my honor and privilege tonight to present to you the fiscal year budget for 2022. This budget is balanced and prepared in accordance with the city charter and the city council's strategic goals and objectives, which are economic development, growth management, infrastructure, financial sustainability, and professional workforce. The citywide budget totals $171,269,590, which is $56.4 million or 25% less than the current year budget. The primary reason for this decrease is from an economic recovery approach. We are still recovering from COVID, as you know. More specifically, we've taken a look at our capital projects and reprioritized those in what we call this year a benchmark year. We want to see where we're at, catch up those projects that fell behind because of COVID and other factors related to funding. The general fund budget totals $59,071,184. It's 1% higher than the current year budget. Our reserves at the end of fiscal year 2021 are projected to be $123,347,041, which is a $2,122,041 increase, or 2% from fiscal year 2020. More importantly, our general fund reserves at the end of 2021 are projected to be $13 million, or 26% of operating costs. The city's reserve policy 2011-185R requires special fund reserves to be at least 12.5% of operating expenditures. The GFOA recommendation is 16.5, so we're actually above that by 10 points. The city's largest single revenue source, as you know, is ad valorem taxes, which this year increased by $2,061,017, or 15%, for a total of $15,754,000. Our millage rate remains the same at 5.1128 for the 8th consecutive year. Most of the growth has been related, most of the growth in property taxable values in the city, more than half of that growth is directly attributable to new construction. The utility fee revenues are $33,687,886, which is $5.9 million, or 27% less than the current year, and we can discuss that when we get into that budget line item. The personnel services total $52,202,697, which is $3.724093, or 7.7% more than the current year budget. This increase is due to 18 new positions, to in direct relation to the operational analysis conducted by Matrix. Also, it includes a COLA, a 1% COLA, and a 2% merit for our employees. Our citywide operating expenses, a total of $55,567,773, which is $18,709,313, or 25% less than the current budget year. The reason we took this approach is because of a gradual economic recovery. We still don't know where we're going to end up financially when we come out of COVID finally. And again, as you know, some of that's starting to escalate again. This strategy, we're not micromanaging, but rather across the board streamlining to allow departments more flexibility to determine which expenses are essential and which are not. Our citywide capital outlay totals $8,810,796, which is $13,281,565, or 60% less than the current year. Again, I want to reemphasize the reason we're doing this is use this as a benchmark year to catch up. So there's some specific programs in that, and I can just highlight a couple of them. Capital outlay for including remodeling of this chamber and some of the offices up here because of growth of our staff and needs, additional needs. Community development capital outlay. Information technology, we've put a big infrastructure package in place to improve our information technology, with security being our priority. Police department capital outlay, $869,999, includes the repair of our current training building, resurfacing of the parking lot, replacing flooring in the training building, a new boat and trailer. As you know, we have a lakefront to protect. In addition to that, we just received $500,000 from the state for a seaplane base, and we'll hope to have that operational in the next several years. Additional vehicles, and the fire department, again, $1.9 million in capital. It includes some repair of our Pink Hills engine, portable radios, and the biggest expenses are self-contained breathing apparatus, which are now 8 years old and are end of life. A brush truck, Ford Explorer, a pumper, and some other vehicles for support staff. The Parks and Rec Department, again, has some equipment needs for $728,000. And again, environmental services, water, sewer capital outlay totals $1,378,700. And that includes a lot of projects that we have identified. Our new environmental utilities director has identified. Some of the organizational changes that are coming forward is building maintenance is under the building department right now. It will transition October 1st to Public Works. Code enforcement will transition as a division reporting to the building department, and economic development has been transitioned to the city manager's department. Additionally, emergency operations have transitioned from the police department to the fire department, and the grants division has been transferred to finance, and utility billing will go to environmental utilities. Again, staff has worked very hard on this budget. I think it's a responsible budget, and I think it'll carry us for the next year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. All right. Start with you, Wendy.
Thank you again. Again, this is the presentation. I'll be providing budget highlights for the fiscal year 22, and then we will move on through funding. The highlights in the book, as you probably have read already, are some of the economic and stimulus plans that we experienced in 21 that are carrying over to 22. We've pumped enough money out into the community with the inception of COVID-19 of almost $2 million out to the community, which helped 77 businesses in fiscal year 21, and we progressively continue to help them, throughout this. We've also have had invested through community development grants. We have the CDBG coming up. We have housing initiatives coming up. So it's an exciting year for 22. However, like the city manager said, I was going to set the tone for fiscal year 22. It's a time to benchmark, hold, as the economy and the nation is in a state where we are recovering. Our supply chains are bottlenecked. You guys have heard it, probably seen it through Fox News and everything going on. So it's kind of a freeze exercise. Everybody hold, so that we don't start adding things just because we're trying to resolve problems for the immediate, but not, versus the long term. We've always had an structurally imbalanced budget. We've addressed that and it's been our commitment, it's been the city manager's commitment to address that. I'm happy to continually always report and give credit to the city manager that last year we pulled $10 million in prior year fund balance, and this year we've pulled $8 million. That's $2 million reduction, and we are streamlining this budget. Overall, we've reduced it 25%. That is still providing the same level of service, that is without a millage increase, and that is with no utility rate increases. How we do it, I think it's just a matter of teamwork and how we've been able to just stay within our means. It's been some tough decisions to make, but I think they've been data-driven decisions, which causes us to be really aligned with what's happening economically and providing still services at a level that we can do it. Of course, current challenges, we have infrastructure challenges, we have space challenges that we continue to address with the atrium coming in. That's another 20,000 square feet that will potentially help. But that, does cross over multiple fiscal years. As I mentioned before, the millage rate will be staying at 5.1128 mills this year at a 96% collection rate. From a previous meeting, you do know that we did reach our collection rate for fiscal year 21 and have achieved the 96% that we projected. Our delinquent accounts continue to come forward, and we have tremendous performance with that. Overall, new construction was the significant factor. Property values continue to escalate, but we don't want to base our budget on something that could eventually turn. I don't think as far as a recession turn, but it's a slight slope that's going to come up. And using a little bit of economic methodology, we established markers for revenue that were more realistic. We didn't want to set up departments for failure, not reaching revenue. And that's what's been happening. And the reason is it's not because of lack of ability, but because we set limits that were just based on 2% growth, 3% CPI index here and there. But the reality is that even though things are growing at a certain rate economically, that's not the way that a city grows as well, especially when we don't have additional revenue streams. So I kind of invite you to take that in. That's been my financial strategy for this thing. I'm a little conservative, taking into consideration the city manager's vision, the team's needs, and the residents of the community. Okay. Overall, if we were, or any consideration for a rollback rate, which this year's would be 4.825, the impact to that would be about $1 million, a little shy of that, in reduction of operations if we rolled back, which would give the residents about $56 in credit, or reduction in their taxation. But it's $895,656 that would the rollback would cause for us. This is for average property rate at $232,000. In the general fund, you'll experience $3.2 million of increases this year. That's a 6% increase just in the general fund. Expenditures exceeded already revenues by $1.5 million. Layman's term, taxable value increased only by $2.5 million for us. We had just $3 million alone in salary and labor increase to get those new positions in for operational needs. So you guys do the math, right? So we needed to balance that out and see what was prioritized and what we could do with that. What caused the $3 million as well is not just raw salaries, but one, we did have shared revenues. If you remember from last year, I projected potentially a 25% reduction in shared revenues. I'm glad to report that number, I was dead wrong, and it came way lower, and we're at 12% below still, but it's not 25%. So much better, and it keeps going down. Shared revenues go up as people get out of their houses and get in cars, but still, we're still suffering economic impact from that, okay?
Yes, sir.
I just want to jump in and compliment Wendy. Last year, as COVID began to set in, we established two things, an economic recovery task force and also a financial task force. So she did stress tests on those models, and like I said, that's where the 25% came from. So I'm glad she was very conservative, but we came in, better than we thought we were going to. So I just want to compliment her and her team for that. Thank you.
Continuing on to some of the factors, pension contributions are increasing by $694,433. That's 12.4%. The more people you put on payroll, we got to pay those pension costs, and also attributed to that on the police and fire pension. As you know, last year, if you've read the ACFR, we were at an 80-20 and 20% unfunded liability. It's my belief that our due diligence is to leave this place better than we found it. So I implemented a strategy where our actuary is recommending that we continue to invest 32.35% into the police and fire pension. I've elevated that to 35% so that we can get to a 90-10 split, and I think that we leave it better for the next generation. We'll see if this plan works. So we're going to increase it not because we have to, but because we should, okay? The other overtime cost increased by $924,000. We actually took a different approach to this, and instead of just bulk putting overtime over there, we did allocate emergency overtime for public safety to include fire and police, and as well as park and recs for any hurricane or emergency that we may have, or also any time that our services are asked for to service something else that we did not plan for, we are covering the divisions with additional overtime instead of grouping it in one place, one house. It's the concept of everybody gets to eat off the pie, okay? The 11 positions that you see in the general fund, I'll briefly go over them. In one position in human resources, one procurement position, a deputy IT director in information technology, the administrative assistant in information technology, a community development administrative assistant, and a HAVOC technician in building, 2 communication operators, for the police department, 1 aquatic supervisor, and 2 ground maintenance workers. The payroll fully burdened, as I mentioned before, is $3.1 million, 9.1% from fiscal year 20. $1.8 million of increase in just salary and wages. This includes reclassifications or any adjustments that we've made.
Excuse me?
Yes, sir.
Just on our last meeting, I wrote the notes down. You have 18 citywide new positions, 11 in general fund.
Yes,
What
sir.
are the other 7? Are we going to be discussing them?
Yes, sir. I'm giving you the general fund highlights, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But if you'd like them now.
You were going over the positions.
Yes, we have on your other schedules is a layout for all funds. I'm
Okay.
just giving you the general fund ones, yes, sir. Included and some of the hits that we continue to do is obviously special pay went up 9.3%, almost 10%. 611,000 increase, 10.7% an increase in health, dental, life, and disability to include FICA. And finally, that allocation I mentioned of 175,000 of allocated overtime. And then we had $114,000 roughly in workers' comp and taxable reimbursement. That was a reduction. Okay. Other factors, obviously, like I mentioned, reclassifications, and then the contributions, as I mentioned, to the public safety pension. We also increased from $4.4 million to $5.6 million, or almost 5% in medical care for the employer, from the employer side. This is to make sure that we have a buffer for any claims. We don't know what that looks like every year as we prepare budget, and it could be exacerbated or not, so we want to have a good buffer there. And then also there was a potential increase in insurance in the administration side, about $57,400, but it also included a wellness program, and this is to incentivize people to use the program. I went over the 11 positions for you, and then on page 14, that is the 2022 proposed budget outline by fund for you, totaling $171,269,590. As you notice, the percentage change is 24% reduction across all funds. As you move through your document, you'll see this is just a overview giving you the fund balance for the general fund, letting you know that 30% is ad valorem proceeds, other financing such as where our revenues are coming from intergovernmental, other taxes, licenses, and charges and services. Again, general fund expenditures on 16. It includes a contingency this year for council of $2,804,220. So the biggest component is no secret is personnel costs, fully burdened, $38,168,000, and we rounded it to the third digit just in case you were curious, 551. This is an increase of 8.7%, $3,047,799 of the current adjusted budget. Quick overview, moving on 17, page 17 is just your special revenue accounts, funds, excuse me. These are legally restricted and are for funding of particular activities. The 1% fund projects a budget of $119,826. It includes a reserve of almost $2 million. Some of the items, primary purpose that we're using the 1% would be general support totaling $1,026,741. This includes things like roof replacements, control system wide replacements. In information technology, $775,865. This is in network security such as Cisco, security enhancements, and the implementation this year of Microsoft Office 365. In the police, $485,000. That includes 12 vehicle replacements. In fire, $1,862,405 in vehicle, machinery, and equipment, and also some items for the emergency, the EMS. In public works, $273,250. This is vehicle, machinery, and equipment. And in parks and rec, $151,828 in conjunction and primary purpose of the lakefronts, pools, and other park improvements. Finally, in debt service, we have $858,448. And that is in principal and interest on all existing debt, and contingency of $749,529. This is as needed. Finally, in the gas tax fund, we're providing $500,000 for street lighting, materials, and road repairs, and $1,230,000 for paving, sidewalk, and traffic projects. And this fund has a fund reserve of $262,668.
Wendy, just a quick question.
Yes, sir.
On the information technology,
Yes, sir.
where we're seeing the security enhancement,
Yes, sir.
have we been compromised yet, or will what we're doing add some additional layers of protection, so we're not going to have to come up with 10 million to reopen our...
I'm going to give you my embryo, what operationally the IT director has shared and this vision as he presented this budget. One, they brought in consultants to review everything that we have as far as hardware, software, servers, and our integrity, our different software programs, everything like that. They were prioritizing to 3 categories by the IT director, which was security, at the forefront with our hard drives, our databases and everything. And then implementation of laptops, new equipment, and then finally technology like Microsoft Office 365. At this point, we haven't had a breach, but we were identified with some security breaches through our audit, and that's what the IT director got in front of, to make sure. So this 775 is kind of your a la carte system for us to get all these services in place and address those, including some deficiencies we found in public safety, specifically for police, some security, I should say, not deficiencies that we're trying to address. If you'd like, sir?
Chairman? I also, we are well insured for that kind of attack, and we're looking at doing some exercises to see if we can drill some more holes in that. So, thank you. Good question.
I'm going to ask some good questions. In our enterprise funds, the outline out here for you in main categories of personnel, operating, capital, debt service, transfers, and contingency. In the water fund, you can see those segments totaling $17,980,188. If you've lost a little bit of the page number, we're on 18 just in case. And sewer, $15,707,698. Sanitation, $14,065,426, and the stormwater at $2,501,895. As the city manager mentioned early on, when it comes to revenues and how we laid that out, traditionally in the city, just so you knew, what they would do would be they take sales like metered sales on any of the facility and increase it by like 5% to depending. There wasn't a huge methodology. So my methodology this year, and in conjunction with the deputy finance director, he took first stab at it and just kind of based it on actual performance across multiple years. We went further. We talked and reviewed with the DRC and looked at what potential growth, what potential agreements we have, our JPA, annexation. It's been a learning phenomenon for us in finance, and we incorporated that. We also partnered a little bit with Toho, and we came up with kind of the same numbers. That growth is projected at about a top of 6.3% for the city of St. Cloud with our 30,471 active utility accounts right now. I never set anybody high, so the way revenue was set is that we project that they will make about, the growth will be about 4% to no more than 5%. We're not going to put them at the high stream of 6.3. The reason being is that the last 5 years, metered sales have been at an average of $10 million. Last year, they were set at $12 million. This year, they would have been set at a phenomenal amount that they wouldn't have made. So we brought them back down to make measurable and realistic revenue, okay? So they didn't lose anything. We're just putting them at level instead of pushing them harder until we get all cylinders on for them, okay? Because we got to address, you know, everything we need in order for them to have all the resources. So we wanted to stop the bleeding a little bit with them and levelize them to what growth and in a very methodological way of seeing growth, okay? Finally, in the building fund, same concept with the building fund permit. The building fund's budget is $4,153,134. $3.5 million, that almost 3.6 or 92% of that is building permits. $160,000 is in miscellaneous fees, and $89,818 is in conjunction with the technology fee. And then $30,000 is about what we project in operating interest. In the building fund, you'll expect 2 new positions, one senior building inspector and 1 plans examiner. That is to accommodate the increase in service needs, and then personnel cost is listed at $2,231,253. Operating cost at $1.5 million and $110,000 directed to capital outlay. This doesn't mean they don't have a capital outlay. As you were informed before, the capital for Atrium has been allotted and scheduled, so we are ready to go on that and see it through. At this time, we'll move forward to reviewing the expenditures. I'll just walk you through, as traditionally for the budget book, is just your elected and appointed officials, moving on page 22. Your departmental officials listed on page 23. The City of St. Cloud's organizational chart for fiscal year 21, and I'm just kind of pacing for you here. Fund structure, just an overview so you can understand and have good understanding of our governmental and our business funds and how we're structured. In 25. And then here we are at page 26, fund summaries. This section right here, we're going to go into the access reports, which are by department, by the general. We'll start with the general fund, going over what you're used to, which we'll start with city council. Pages 27 throughout, excuse me. I should have counted them for you, but let me tell you. Through page 45 is exactly what we're going to go over, just broken down line by line, okay? So it tells you revenues and expenditures for each fund. It takes out contingency. It takes out prior year fund balance. So I don't want to regurgitate the same thing over and over again unless you have something specific that you see here that you want me to do. Some of the biggest notes that I want to be very transparent about is $171,269,590 overall for the budget. Fund balance, last year, or the 21 year that we're currently on, we were pulling $46 million of fund balance. This year, $10,725,000. Okay, so we're not taking out cash. It's just prior year fund balance. We're not calling on that money because we're trying to live within our means versus calling money we still haven't earned. Okay, just to be very clear. Okay, as we begin on page 46, you'll see the revenue report. This is all your funds. This is statistical as well as actual information of your 2019 through 2020 actual performance per fund. Then you'll see your current fiscal year 21 budget. And then in the light blue, purplish lavender color, you'll see fiscal year 21-22 proposed budget by fund. This is revenues. The following page will be expenditures, and this is a summary. I'm editing a little bit and kind of saying a little bit more than I normally would just because I know we have new members, just so you know what we're navigating through, okay? So as you can see, there's your 171, 269, 590 on page 47 for all funds. The general fund with 1% increase, and as you go down overall as a city, 25% reduction from the current fiscal year 21 adjusted budget to the proposed 21-22. That is page 47, and your revenues obviously match your expenditures on page 48 for the proposed budget. Navigating through your revenue reports, this is a detailed line item for your information, or in the event that you have trouble sleeping tonight, you go through the revenues and you can see them by charges of services, ad valorem, and you can scroll and navigate through this and you'll still get to a beautiful $59,071,184, which ends on page 51. In the 420, revenue for the proposed year is at $17,980,188. Again, as you navigate, you'll see your meter water sales, 3% reduction there. And you'll see how we've adjusted it for this current year, which based on the adjusted budget currently, $23,956, that's a $5.9 million reduction there to equalize the utility. That is the same case in the sewer. $15,707,698, $3.1 million reduction, or 17%. The adjustment actually was an increase to meter water sales for sewer of $70,125. And so we have equalized and leveled those revenue thresholds. Page 54 through 55 is the 440, the sanitation fund. Again, same, $14,065,426. Equalization there of actual performance, comparative to actual performance from budget previous years, 5 years, and sustained growth. We reduced it by 10%, or $1.6 million revenue. Finally, in the building fund, $3.8 million. Comparative to fiscal year 21, 3.992 reduction, or 51%, from fiscal year 21 budget. We are at page 56 and now at expense reports, beginning with City Council. And we will again be addressing all variances above 10,000. The disclosure I'm going to give ahead of time so that we don't continuously repeat it and you won't see it on the variances is when it comes to salary, labor, FICA, workers' comp, all of that. I have briefed you ahead of time of the $3.2 million increase, which made all that contributed to an increase in salary across the board, plus the new positions per division, and also take in consideration a 1% COLA effective October 1st, and a 2%, up to a 2% merit raise on the anniversary of the employees' review. Okay? Yes, sir.
I just want to ask a question. The COLA, that's not based on, is that an arbitrary figure?
Great question.
Based on the budget?
Yes, it is based on the budget. It is to sustain and try to stay with market industry at this point. We are working towards aligning it to any CPI indexes and things of that nature that would be better aligned. Also, we've identified that since we've implemented COLAs and things of that nature, we have never looked back to look at our grades and increase and add that COLA in there and compression. We are addressing that right now.
Okay.
So that's, but great question, but.
None of the insurances are going to be absorbed by the employee?
No, sir, there was no increase to the insurance when we rebrokered right now with Cigna. Only the administrative cost has increased this year.
Very good.
Yes, sir. So beginning with the City Council, your first variance is $200,000 in the 63 account. And where we're looking at is that fourth digit, when I'm reading it, 001 1000, 511, we're looking at that 31-00. That's the number I'm referencing. Originally, please note that we could have had some changes in between from when we met with divisions and made a change. So the variance at that point, they reported it. If there's additional variances, we'll address it for you as need be. First one that they had there was a $200,000 increase. They moved from element 64 for the remodeling of the council chambers. In 64, 71,000 council chambers is the presentation upgrade increase, and they've allocated that. That's the 71,000 you see in 64, improvements of 200,000. Stop me if you need me to. Okay. The Finance Committee, no variances above 10,000.
Good job.
Trying to set the example.
It's a lean budget there. Legal services, the 2010, there is a variance of 42,000 in element 31-03, and this is for the retainer of additional attorney hours. In administrative support, Department 20, Division 30. Flipping at the same time I say it would help. We have no variances to report over 10,000. And I'm going to keep going unless you tell me to stop. Division, Department number 30. Division number 10, this is the city manager. Variance in element number 46-01. This is 56,500. This is in operational expenditures. This is the OpenGov software maintenance contract cost increase. In Public Information, Department 30, Division 15, 29,950 in element 42-00. I'll give you the name. This is mail and freight. This is an increase due to the community newsletter. In 4601, maintenance
Question,
Yes, sir.
like a physical newsletter? We're not doing things online or anything like that?
Remember, we have a lot of people that don't have access to computers or they're not computer savvy, so we're doing a quarterly newsletter also. We're putting it in all the newspapers, and also we send it out also.
Do we send it out electronically?
We do that also.
Is it via email or just like a Facebook post or something?
We do all, emails, constant contact, Facebook.
Okay. No, I was just curious.
No, so we realized that we weren't catching some of our citizens, giving them information because some of them aren't computer savvy or have access to computer internet. Good question. Thank you, Chairman.
In 4601, 28,311 is the variance. Move TVIs from another element and add in Granicus Agenda Software, the Granicus Agenda Software annual contract costs to the 4601. Again, in 47-00, this is printing and binding. This is also in relation to the community newsletter. Department 30, Division 16, the city clerk. 9% reduction in their budget. 31 element, professional services is increase in, a $75,000 increase due to the addition of city code. In 4601, 15,950. This is for fiscal year 2021, element 64. They switched it over to maintenance costs, and it'll be coming out of the 4601. So they shifted the element. A lot of the items that you'll see when you see shifts like that, it's just because of the classification of the account, the natural accounts. We've addressed that, and the deputy talks to the departments all the time about classifying correctly and where they need to go based on their natural accounts. In Department 30, Division 20, Human Resources, we have I'm not going to review, like I told you, FICA pension health insurance, but we're going to start with element 3100, professional service. This is actually a reduction of 75,000 for the compensation study contract was removed. Human Resources took it to another level, and not only did they do variances that increased by 10,000, but also decreased by 10,000. Honorable mentions to that department. 3101, medical care, a reduction of 10,642. This is for a reduction in pre-employment costs due to the in-house clinic. So they reduced that because of the in-house clinic availability. In maintenance contracts, 4601, 43,035. This is a new learning management system and the personnel record keeping system, causing the increase as they try to bring that on board. 49-30, this is tuition reimbursement, 25,000. This is a promotion of education reimbursement to assist with retention skills and and skills gain. In the 49-50 element, this is the employee incentive, 15,200. This is to transfer from the city manager's account to the employee engagement and the new Spirit Squad activities. In 5500, training, 10,393. This is a transfer from the city's manager's account for training of $10,000.
Who was that for?
That was your.
Last year, that was for diversity, equity, inclusion training, and so I moved that over to HR. It was in my budget last year because it was a last-minute addition, but it's moving over to HR this year.
Same type of training?
Yes, sir. Soft skills, diversity, skills like that.
In the self-insured medical, 1,235,733 variance. Budgeted in prior year did not account for increases in staffing as well as claims projected. We've had a lot of movement in that, so therefore, this year we factored, and they've factored in increases in staffing as well as any new claims that we potentially are projecting. In the 31-07, the wellness program, a 57,400 increase, 100,000 of that will be reimbursed by the new carrier for wellness activities. This amount is not actually an increase of funds. So they're implementing this wellness program, and we will be reimbursed by the carrier Cigna for using or having a wellness program. And then 45-00 insurance, 133,609. This is the actuarial projection of the stop loss increase.
So their increase in their budget overall is
30%, sir.
30%.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure that $1.2 million didn't help them.
No. Next up is procurement. I'm sorry, 74. It is listed as administration, Department 35, Division 10. You're going to have procurement services, again, 3515 and 3520 for the warehouse. No variances above 10,000 to report.
I was looking for the little squares. I was like, wow, none.
It's my second year, sir.
You're starting to catch on.
Yeah, a little bit.
Might have to keep you.
Yeah. Only 7,435 more days. So.
Who's counting?
All right. Division we don't even have to pay attention to here. We have the 4010 finance.
Nothing to see here.
Sir?
Nothing to see here.
Yeah, nothing to see here. But we'll have incorporated in that is finance, accounting, grants, and utility billing. We gave the utility billing, they do get their budget from the 420, the water and sewer fund for their personnel, but we gave them some administrative budget in case they need paper pens, and we could help them out with that until we transition over. Overall for variances there, in 31, in professional services, 122,100. This is an increase for the ERP consulting to begin implementation of a new ERP. This is the design and development of that. I'm sure it is a great thing today for directors to probably hear this, but we are starting the project to launch a new ERP system in the city, and hopefully project this out about 2 to 3 years, and but we'll start getting design on it. So that's the increase with that. 32-00 is audit fees, 84,000 in increase. Originally, the methodology here was to allocate out all the audit costs to different funds and all this stuff, but when the deputy looked at administrative allocations, we were already receiving money for administrative cost and support. Doesn't make any sense. So finance is absorbing the entire cost because we already recouped that cost through the administrative allocation and wanted to be fair to the utilities and all the other funds. They don't need to pay that. Finally, in accounting and all the other departments, there is no other variances. Information systems, 4510, this is IT, which includes IT and GIS. Overall, 26% increase in IT. Explanation of variances, we'll, like I said, skip through salaries and all that, start with professional services. 16,639 was the increase there for information systems, an increase to include the Gatner Research and Advisory Service. In 3,400, and also honorable mention here, this is another division that included also reductions under above 10,000, so we appreciate that. 193,652, this is a decrease for no longer utilizing temp services for unfilled positions. They covered their gap and they have been hiring permanent personnel now, so they'll stop that. 34-4, other contractual, excuse me, I read that. 46-01, maintenance contracts is 13,613. This is an increase for the checkpoint maintenance. 5,200, operating supplies, 96,096, includes replacement for monitors and peripheral citywide, all citywide to replace those. In training, 55-00, 37.7, this is an increase for citywide application training and New Horizon Tech training. In equipment and machinery, $183,000 increase. This is due to includes a citywide PC, laptop, tablets, and all new replacements. IT has done a phenomenal job to go and look at their inventory, and with the consultants that came on board, they analyze how many laptops and PCs will be rolling out on a schedule now. So we're not just onesie twosies. There's a schedule for life expectancy of these laptops. In the GIS department, professional services, 3100. This is 4512 division. 96,339 is the use of GIS information technology support and the ESRI portal expansion. In 5500, in that division, 15,000. This includes, again, the citywide ESRI GIS training and the AutoCAD training that will occur, causing that variance. In the 120, we'll review that right now. I know we're on the general fund, but because they put the explanation here, they had reductions of 13,206 in professional services because those services are no longer needed. And then maintenance contracts in 4601 increased by 775. This is what we talked about on the highlight about the network, the security, the servers. This is the focus for that and that deployment of that schedule. Your GIS is what we reviewed already with variances, as you see there, and we are, believe it or not, at 5410, community development. In community development, a 17% reduction overall with budget. In professional services, there was a reduction of 300 and 7,903. This was, a budget transfer was completed in order to provide funding for the comprehensive plan and LDC updates. This increased the budget, therefore showing no major decrease. What this means in layman's term is that they reallocated money in their budget to another element, which looks like they had a variance because they spent, but they didn't spend it. They transferred and reallocated money within their department division. In 3,400, 106,775, the decrease is due to an urgent need to hire temporary staff to cover the needs of the department during the pandemic. Of course, this caused a variance of 106,775 as they are not continuing with that at this moment. In 40-00, travel and per diem, 20,899. This is post-pandemic. Staff are now able to travel for professional development, so they've increased that to cover their required and necessary certifications and professional development needs. In 4601, maintenance contracts, a reduction of 26,944. This is a decrease due to the restructuring of the department, which allocated specific maintenance contracts to different newly created divisions, planning and zoning. Again, in layman's term, they had a new division created, which was housing, and a housing division and a zoning division. So those costs were allocated to the new divisions for them. We are on page 90, which shows zoning after community development. And we've gone over, I'll go over the variance for that on page 91. This is for the zoning division, 5415. In 3,400, they had an increase of 25,000. This was due to restructuring of the department. They allocated specific services to different newly created divisions. So they have $25,000 need there in contractual services. All of these variances, the 10,000 and the 12,100, are all due to the creation of the new division for them and them allocating expenditure budget for this year. Total increase there is 47,100. Housing and Human Services is again a new division, as you can tell from the proposed. A total of 715,598 was reallocated to the Housing Division for this new division being created. We need to also note that the Housing Division, not only the personnel costs for the positions, but also some of the work here is all grant reimbursement. So we will recoup those once we submit reimbursement to that. Page 94, Building Maintenance. This is one of the operational changes that Mr. Sturgeon mentioned. Building Maintenance will be moving to Public Works. We've created this division for them, and that will go under that structure for Public Works. 38% increase in budget. For variances on page 96 for them, we start with contractual services at 3,400. This is 173,568. This is outsourcing of the custodial staff based on attrition. So through attrition, and we're bringing in a custodial service for that. That is the increase once that starts occurring for this year. 44-0 rentals and leases, $11,000 rentals for portable AC units and box trucks as needed. 46-00 repairs and maintenance. They added funds to cover the cost of emergency and electrical and AC repairs, $140,372. 46-01 maintenance contracts. This is the generator maintenance contract, which caused a variance increase of $103,550,000.
Are some of these speculative with like the rentals and stuff like that? Are we just in case type of thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Some of it too has had, because they've had certain things happen, they want to put budget in there not to be scrounging around to move money, you know what I mean, and have less budget transfers throughout the year, so you're trying to assess that. Then the other focus in building maintenance is they're taking over, changing over ACs and things of that nature. We're trying to house that in under them so that we can have a little bit more uniform. 5,200. 5,200 in operating supplies is 52,650. This is the Aeroclave solution. This is what they use to sanitize the city. And so the increase there, 52,650. In 6,400, equipment and machinery, 150,954. They're adding a cargo van for the new HVACA technician, and an AC replacement for, this is to cover costs of AC replacements for multiple city buildings, and the replacement of the maintenance generator. 825,545 in 6,200, capital outlay for buildings, control replacement system for the city hall, and re-roof of multiple city facilities. And then finally, in 6,400, machinery and equipment, 15,500. This is the replacement of 2 city vehicles per fleet. The reason this note is there, just to note, any and all vehicle replacements this year was slotted and reviewed by fleet management according to life cycle expectancies and rotations. So it's not the division just asking for it. They went through fleet. Fleet made sure that it was time to replace it.
Are they doing that program that you kind of implemented?
We had talked about the red line when I first became manager, and we've implemented that. And now we're implementing a new computer system to help us do that. But everything's reviewed by our fleet manager.
Very good.
The deputy has corrected me. I said replacements, additions. It's on me.
Sorry, I forget.
He's really the boss. In code enforcement, again, this is an operational change as well, changing to the 5525, department and division. It will go under building. lost it. Through, it's going to change from police to the building fund, 460. Budget there, 431,152. It's the first year, and when we get to police, you'll see that code enforcement is zeroed out this year because of the shift in transfer. $60,10, police department. Overall, 941,754, an increase, 6% increase. Salary and wages and all payroll burden, I've given you the review on that. They're getting 2 communications operators for fiscal year '22. In 4,100, 12,938 in communication services. This is for any additional cellular devices and Intel dedicated to the data network. Maintenance contracts, 107,157. This is the increase in One Solution, citywide radio cost, and new Intel, as well as video software maintenance for Fuchsias. In 4602, vehicle maintenance, 44,250. This is the vehicle allocation cost increase. 49-35, this is tuition and sponsorship, 18,000. This is an increase in police officer sponsorships at the or the academy. In 5200, operating supplies, 118,998. This is an increase in product costs as well as SWAT equipment, body-worn cameras, ballistics, and replacement of Intel cameras. 52-02, vehicle fuel, 18,997. This is increase in cost per gallon of vehicle fuel. 52-16, uniform exempt from wages, 16,800. This is the purchases due to the purchases of new uniform replacements. And 5,500, training, 27,410. This is for advanced courses for specialized personnel. In 6,400, machinery and equipment, 214,267. This is the purchase of a police boat, vehicle equipment, laptop computers, the front lobby kiosk, ATV, and other vital capital equipment.
All right, so the 2 positions were kind of a little deceiving initially. So earlier, Jeffrey, in our prior meeting, said that there was 10 openings needed in the police department. I'm assuming we were talking about law enforcement, not communications, so. Bill,
That's correct, law enforcement.
where are we doing, where are we at with public service?
What is-
And
what
police
specifically?
officers, there's 10 positions needed for the police department.
Correct, so that's,
You only are giving us 2 communication people.
that's correct. So there's 10 openings, people have left for various reasons, and they're increasing their recruiting efforts to bring those in.
But are we going to hire them? I see
Yes.
we so in the academy.
So that's, right, those positions are still in the budget from previous years, so those are already allocated positions. We just need to hire people, and they're actively doing that. I spoke to the deputy chief today.
So we are because I see the 18,000 for the
Correct,
academy.
that's
the
for-
sponsorships.
That's to have people, increase people going to the academy.
Okay. So we are trying, because when we talked about, I
Yes,
just didn't see 10 openings.
well, that's already, like I said, that's already in the budget. It's already baked into the budget, so those 10 openings are already there. So
Okay.
they were already budgeted, so we're just got to fill those
So
positions.
the only thing we're truly then just adding in law enforcement is 2 new communication people.
That's correct. Plus, there's, we're going to get, and subject to the CRA board approval, 2 more CRA officers also.
All right.
If I could add something too, so
Sure.
we went through the matrix study, and that was an operational study of personnel needs. What they neglected to do was figure out that those cost money. So I've committed to the police chief that I'll do a mid-year review for additional positions, what they call a power shift. They also left out that we need a sergeant and a corporal to have a power shift, so we're going to revisit that mid-year to look at that. So that would be an additional 6 to 8 officers, depending on what we can do financially. And that's a mid-year review.
You're
we'll
running
do.
lean. So you guys
Well-
are really running. I'm impressed with how tight it seems to be running. But that's why I was just wondering. So are we going to be we are actively pursuing the 10 from, I don't know why we didn't hire previous year for 10 people.
Well, no, they left. That we actually, if I could have Fran come up and address that. I actually spoke to them about it today, what our recruiting efforts are going to be.
I was just curious. I
So,
was,
yes, we are lean. I have 2 challenges. First off is, yes, we're lean, and recruiting is very difficult, as you know from your career. Secondly, our pay is behind, so I have to try to correct that over the next couple of years also. So we've got double whammy, but we're committed to continue to provide outstanding police services, and they do a great job, but I understand we're at the point we got to do something significant. But again, the budget restricts what we can do, but I'm committed to implementing that matrix report as soon as we can fund it.
I guess we can revisit it. I was just
But
curious.
if you want Deputy Chief to come and talk about the recruiting, like I said, we just had a conversation today about it.
No, I was just, if I see the $18,000, so as long as we're trying to actively pursue these 10, then it'd be nice. I'd be curious, how long would it take to get to these 10?
Could I have Deputy Chief Reinhardt come up
Sure,
and,
sure.
and address that? I'm not an expert on the police department, but we did have that discussion
Pressure's
today.
on now.
He's pretty
My
good.
brother.
Hello, yes. Yeah, as far as recruiting, we recently lost at least 4 officers, if not more, to Orlando Police Department. Obviously, they have a better pay structure than we do, a higher pay structure, so they have left. It's been a very difficult challenge to hire police officers. We are struggling with many other agencies across the nation with, number one, people wanting to get into law enforcement. We also struggle with competing with the other agencies that are paying at a higher rate. I talked to Mr. Sturgeon today. We are starting to market very proactively to outside Osceola County, different academies, different correctional facilities to try to get individuals that are interested in becoming law enforcement. And then we are going to sponsor them through the academy. This does take quite a long time. So we have 10 open positions currently. And when we hire them on, or if we get 10 positions, the next academy, I believe, is coming up in August. They do not, takes about 6 months to go through the academy, and another 4 months to on FTO to get them self-serving the community. So it takes a while, and it's a struggle, but I think it's a struggle that we can overcome, and a challenge that we can overcome.
Is there 10, are we pursuing the 10, or is there like a freeze until, and we're only going to hire so many people? Or if we could hire 10 tomorrow and we recruited them, they all met the standards, we could hire them?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I know that
Yeah.
I understand the struggles,
Yeah.
definitely. So
Yeah.
we're having the same issues, so
Yep.
I understand. But I'm glad that there's open, because we weren't, we were frozen. So
We're not.
I was curious if
Yeah.
we were
Just a quick
better.
question with regards to
Sure.
that. You're saying one of the major challenges is that of our salary gaps or differences.
Yes, sir.
Does this budget, going through all these, are we closing that gap, or we still have that same gap between
Maybe
pay?
maybe let you answer that.
So we did, Mr. Hoagland, we did a pay adjustment back in April
Salary
for everybody. Proposing a salary adjustment, a COLA and a merit, but we're also doing a compensation classification study. That just went out to bid, the bid was awarded, so we're gonna do that. So it's across the whole city, so we'll be looking at everybody. But I think the police department's in a unique position. They're losing people faster than anybody in the city, and then public safety is the number one responsibility of government. So we're gonna have to address that in the intermediate terms, and Chief Reinhardt's working on a plan right now that he's gonna present to me in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's very challenging,
Yep.
because they lost a lieutenant, a highly ranked individual, to OPD. And they're telling, I talked to somebody over there, and they said that within 2 or 3 years, they'll be right back where what they were making as a lieutenant. So we are definitely, I thought we did a salary study already, so I don't know what the need
So
of.
that was 3 years ago, so personnel policies require me to do it every 4 years, so we're a year ahead of that. But like I said, because they're such a unique position, we have to look at it immediately. And like I said, I've asked Chief Gatlin and Chief Reinhardt to come to me with a plan, and then we'll have to see what we can do financially.
Yeah, because it is. I
So
hate to
it's
see
tough.
good people, yeah, because they're taking them from us. I think we have by far the best pension in the area, by far.
For sure, and a pretty darn good police department, too.
Yeah, outstanding, we're very well equipped, but they're getting the allure of, they have details which are insane over there, but their salaries are definitely pulling them away. I was just shocked to lose a high rank.
Yeah.
That's on them, but if it sounds like you're heading in the right direction. You can see when you're losing a lieutenant to go to OPD, we need to start really.
We tried to talk them out of it.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, I couldn't believe it. So, but they're doing it. But I know recruiting is extremely challenging, to get a good quality candidate. But if we could, and you know it, I mean, preaching to the choir, if we could increase their salaries and be competitive, these groups of people now aren't really paying attention to the end game of a pension. They want
That's
to know what
correct.
they're wanting to pay attention to what's
They look
going
at the
on
world
now.
differently than you and I do.
Yeah, they want to get what can you give me now? And I get it, but I hate losing good people, and especially if you made the rank of lieutenant. That's
Me too.
a lot to be bailing to go to OPD, and I work with those people over there, so I just like to keep them here. So, all right, I just was curious if it was open. We have 10 openings. However we can recruit, but I think you really gonna have to visit that salary
Thanks,
at some
sir.
point,
That'd be,
which I know you are, so it is what it is.
but a recommendation from you would be very helpful.
Yeah, all right, I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
When were
We
you
are-
looking, Bill, to add? You said mid-year you were gonna visit on adding
Yeah,
additionals?
so again, I say mid-year, I'm not going to wait till March to look at that. We'll start looking at it first of the year, and we'll get our first quarter revenues coming in. There's that gap in taxes. We'll start looking at it, first of the calendar year, and see what we can afford. And that's the commitment I've made to the police chief and to our citizens.
We are on page 101, Communications, 6012. The only increases noted was the increases on salary, pension, and health insurance, which we've already reviewed on a corporate level or a city level. The communications, due to those variances, went up 9% from fiscal year '21 adjusted budget. Code enforcement, as I mentioned before, you'll notice on page 103 is all zeroed out due to the movement of code enforcement to the building department, or building fund, excuse me. Page 106, we are 6510, fire control. Overall, a 5% increase from fiscal year '21 adjusted budget. In professional services, $53,500. The department is in need of establishing a standard of cover, a deployment and analysis. This is a guidance that assists them in the distribution and the concentration of fixed and mobile resources. This is to ensure the safe and effective response for the force for fire suppression, medical services, and the specialty response inclusive to Homeland Security. In the department's 2019 ISO audit, the department only obtained 4.8 points out of the possible 10 due to the lack of the recent deployment study of the contributing factors found in the department not achieving the ISO rating of a 1. So professional services increased to cover that. In 3101, medical care, $13,460, they're forecasting an increase in medical clearance costs due to potential increase in staffing and unexpected vacancies. In 4601, vehicle maintenance, $14,750. The department, again, has experienced an increase in vehicle maintenance due to the aging fleet, anticipating continued maintenance issues with current reserve of the fleet, and then the department has been working on getting an exhaustive fleet rotated and replaced. I think previous budget amendment, we approved in the 120 fund to buy a truck, and that's in process as well, and we're trying to get ahead of it now that fleet is giving us some information and data as far as the rotation and life cycle. In uniform exempt wages, 5216, they're increasing their increased staffing and CBA fiscal allotment for union members. The calculations are listed there, as well as, which is 50 at 4 each, which is 6510. This increase in the department is paying for uniform allotments for PFTs and Training Collaborate Class A uniform outfit project as well. And finally, in training, 55, 28,500. This is formal leadership succession training added to the tip of the spear, 30K. This is a course for the entire department to attend. Emergency operations on page 109, as listed on the operational changes, are being transitioned to fire. This is the proposed budget there of 193,516. In contractual, in the OC, other 3,400 other contractual services, 21,955. This is for the additional NIMS training for the city staff. In EMS, a 2% increase for fiscal year '22. Insurance we've covered, and then maintenance contracts 4601, 23,458. The EMS division is been impacted fiscally due to two reasons: the Digitech billing software and the renewal resulted in $23,000 increase per year in pricing for fiscal year '21 from $65,000 to $88,000. Additionally, there's state recommendations that increase the managed care program funds from to $673,920. This resulted in $31.5K increase over the previous year's program in the participation payment that we have to pay. And then current FCI IGTs were $42,434 for the MCO. This is the Public Emergency Medical Transportation Intergovernmental Transfer for Medical Billing Payments.
There's no staffing for fire at all?
No, sir.
What's up with you?
We focused,
Yes,
we focused on a capital infrastructure approach. We have to have somewhere to house them first, so we're
Absolutely.
focused on the fire station.
Bill, I wanted to commend the chief. He gave us a tour, our committee. I wanted them to be exposed when I was on the committee, Public Safety Committee, and he was gracious to take us out, took us to all the facilities, and I thought it was a really good experience for the board to see the needs of the fire department. I'm really shocked. I've never seen a single-digit increase in the fire before. It's usually a double digit, so kudos to the new chief. I thought he did a really good job in what they're doing and what they're dealing with. I thought it was really outstanding. I hope we can get them what they're looking for, especially capital. It's a huge need. I think our board saw that firsthand, and they were all quite surprised on certain places that they went to see the housing and stuff like that. So Chief's doing an outstanding job, and it was very nice of him to give us these tours, and hopefully it'll benefit in the long run with everybody, and we'll get them taken care of like they need to. So thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
In fire prevention, 282,000 is the budget, 282 and 25. And I have no variances for that division. We are at Public Works, page 115, starting off with civil engineering. No increases over 10,000.
Fire prevention an increase?
Yes. It is a 39% increase. They just had,
Is it not on the, I'm not seeing your little,
Variance
oh, I'm sorry,
sheet.
reading the wrong one.
yeah, I was just
Did
looking
we miss
for
a
it.
variance sheet?
I think I read it, did I not?
Maybe. I'm just used to the variance sheet, that's why I was
Yeah.
just,
No, you're right.
that's what I'm looking here, unless I'm just looking at it wrong. It says
No,
like
you're not.
125 or something. I didn't know what that was.
So we
One,
picked up an additional.
On page, the bottom of 114,
Uh-huh.
that's what I'm looking at.
the bottom of
This is
one.
125 and 125% increase.
Yeah, that's what.
Oh,
I'm-
yeah. They don't have any increase.
So what am we,
They had maintenance contracts.
I just didn't see any variances, and it just doesn't tell us what the increases are about.
Good to go. We're gonna go on the fly here. I don't have a variance for them, and,
Could have missed it.
see that?
They almost got away.
Fire prevention.
Fire's like,
All right, sir. The variance, you have about 10,000 travel and per diem in 652540. I will read them to you what it encompasses. Sorry. Okay. In travel and per diem, they have added or put in Florida Fire Marshals Conference. This is for 5 days. There's also a Florida Fire additional Fire Marshals Conference, if I can read today. This is 5 nights for the hotel stay. A cadet competition food for 2 advisors at $46. Ad hoc per diem for training. And then the NFA food ticket. This is for 14 days out of state if necessary. And the FFMIA luncheons at $100, totaling $10,568. Last year, that adjusted budget was $6,218. A lot of it was we reduced travel because the city manager with COVID, we weren't traveling and doing all that out of state. So
Where is these out-of-state events at?
That's the National Fire Academy, NFA, and they just require a food ticket. The flight's reimbursed. You actually have to pay for it yourself, and then they send you a check by the end of the class, but that's one of them is National Fire Academy.
I just didn't know, I don't know where that's at,
It's in Emmitsburg, Maryland.
Maryland.
Yeah.
in maintenance contracts, 11,000, excuse me, oh, that's 25. This, I told you this is why he's the head guy. There are no dollar differences and variances above 10,000, as the deputy told me. I was looking at the proposed column that is the budget number in fire prevention. If you look at the dollar differences, there are no $10,000 variances. That's why we don't have a variance. You almost got me, Chairman, but I have reviewed this thing like 7,000 times. I'm going to be like, how could I miss that?
I
But-
see 125, and I just was like, I
Yeah.
don't see any variance sheets.
Yep, there's no variances above 10,000. All right.
Good job. Jeff, you're just keeping us in line.
These the aces right here. Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah. So here we go. Civil engineering and public works, starting at page 115. There are no variances over $10,000 for civil engineering. I'll note that the budget did go up 39% from the 21 adjusted budget, but nothing over 10,000 in operational expenditures. In 117, streets and drainage, a 22% reduction in budget and no variances above 10,000. In traffic control, 8% increase of budget, and there are 2 variances above 10,000. The first one is 3,400. This is in the gas tax fund, not in the general fund, as they manage this fund as well. 40,000, first year of contracting for restriping in zone 1 and 2 caused that variance increase. And then in 5,200, in the 70-30 division, it is 34,348. This is the first year of implementing the sign replacement in zone 1 and 2, causing a 34,348 variance.
What's that mean?
You want to talk? Well,
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I did
The-
too, so I'm just trying to ask. I don't know what sign,
Street signs.
the street signs?
Things
so
like
we
that.
got $42,000 worth of street signs we're replacing in a zone, how many zones do we have?
Is Kevin back there, I think? Yes, ask Kevin to come up and talk about that.
Kevin thought he got away with it now. I'm just curious about how many zones and
We-
is there, yeah, how many zones, I guess,
We
first?
currently have 7 zones throughout the city, and signs and striping typically because of the sunlight usually lasts between 6 and 7 years for their effectiveness. Like I said, because the reflectivity for the signs just goes away because of the UV. And then the striping itself, just from depending on how much traffic there is and the location and the type of asphalt, they usually last between 6 and 7 years. So we are trying to be able to make sure that we do a better job at keeping those up to date and And so, like I said, we only have three guys that do all the striping and signs in the entire city. So we were not able to keep up. So that's why we are trying to be able to contract out some of these to be able to make sure that we are keeping the infrastructure as safe as possible.
Yeah, I was just curious. So we're talking speed limit signs or
Speed limit, stop signs,
Yeah, stuff
street
like
signs.
any sign in that zone, and then if there's striping in that zone, you do it. And I guess you do it next year, it's going to be 3 and 4 and that type of thing?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. To end the general fund, and as he says, save my voice, the deputy will finish off with Parks and Rec for you all.
She asked me if I wanted to do this a minute ago, and I told her no, but I started feeling bad for her, so I'm going to go ahead and do 7510 through 7560, all the parks and recs. So for 7510, they have a 29% total increase. For Element 34, other contractual services, exactly a $10,000 increase. Stephanie, if you would have made that $1 less, you wouldn't have had to do this one, but okay. Joke. Additional aquatic vegetation spraying for the north side of the berms at the Lakefront Park and the ranch. 43, utility services, an increase of $102,795. That's garbage pickup twice a week for all the parks, per solid waste, and Chisholm Park Utility, and 901 Virginia Avenue Utility. Prior to this fiscal year, I do not believe that the sanitation fund was charging Parks and Rec for their trash pickup, but with David Kastner on board, he identified that as a missed revenue source for that fund. So that's where that increase comes from, because that they've been charged here lately, but this will be a full year's worth of that service. Maintenance contracts, an increase of $25,900. That's the ranch water monitoring, downtown sound system, Cannery Park termite treatment, and equipment maintenance costs. Element 63, which is other improvements, $146,000 increase. That's to convert 2 tennis courts to 6 pickleball courts, lighting for Ted Broda tennis courts, repair Chisholm Park Pavilion C roof, Pavilion C, and roof for the soccer field restroom and concession, shade at O.P. Johnson Park, which is a citizen request, and columbarium pad in Section I of the cemetery. Element 64, equipment and machinery.
Where's Ted's park at? Just for
What park?
Ted Broda.
Ted Road? Where's that at? Just
Michigan.
That's the Michigan up in Canoe Creek?
Michigan on Canoe Creek. Yeah.
So we're changing that into pickleball?
No, that's lighting for Ted Broda.
I think he's asking where the tennis courts that are going to be 6 pickleball courts, where are those
Stephanie.
located? Godwin Park.
Which is where?
You're asking the wrong person.
Stephanie?
Stephanie, where's
you come up,
Godwin Park?
Stephanie?
I just need to,
The
what
sad-
street?
the sad part
I'm
is
just
I play
curious. don't know
pickleball
them
in
by
that
their
place.
names. It's just-
It's where they
Dakota
do the
or
training for
wherever.
dogs.
You just stay
Yeah,
right here.
Godwin Park will be converted into the 6 pickleball courts, and then we're redoing the lighting now for that, and then Delaware. Like Delaware and 5th, I believe, 4th or 5th.
Be racquetball courts and stuff over there?
Yeah, they're still racquetball courts.
Or keeping tennis courts on Michigan? Just putting lights up?
Yeah, that is correct. So they can play in the evening.
Oh, perfect, right in my backyard.
You didn't tell us that. Now you did. Deny?
Element 64, equipment and machinery, a $52,000 increase. That's adding a debris blower, utility vehicle, personal estate columbariums in Section I, and replacing 2006 Sand Pro infield groomer. On to 7520, which is the Recreation Division. In 3401, which is Instructors Commission, a $52,000 increase. That's added to wedding planners for the ranch and an estimate of 104 rentals for the year. Element 63, other improvements, $62,000 increase. That's to seal and restripe the parking lot and curbing at the community center and redesigning the front office at the community center as well. And 7520 had a decrease of 6%. Okay, 7530, which is the swimming pool. They had no variances over 10,000, and they have a 1% decrease. 7535, that is new to Parks and Rec. That did fall under Public Works. We switched that this year, so that'll be a totally new cost center. So all the ones are increases, obviously, because we didn't have any budget in there this year. 7540, which is landscape maintenance, beautification, had an increase of 6% as well. And for Element 52 operating supplies, $17,500 increase. That's to replace 4 signs, 2 pool covers, add a camera to the splash pad area at the lakefront, and purchase 5 yoga boards. 7535, as I mentioned, all of those are increases. Not all of them are over 10,000, but it's because it's a new account for us. 7540, the beautification division, the increases are in 34 other contractual services, 10,500 increase for security for events, utility services, an increase of 41,030. That's special event garbage collection per solid waste. And 46-00 repairs and maintenance, a $12,000 increase, and that's ADA deck replacement at Peghorn Park Trailhead.
Are we doing, I know it's a little side off, we heading to Chisholm on a sidewalk? When is that? I might be coming, I was just curious.
Go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, we're currently in the design, well, not designed, we're just held a public meeting to connect the lakefront to Chisholm Park. And then next year, we'll be doing a project that connects the lakefront from Buddingere to the C31 Canal, and then the county picks it up from Lakeshore over to Neptune, down the C31 Canal.
All the way to Kissimmee.
All the way to Kissimmee.
We're gonna take like a sidewalk next to the canal type of deal?
Yeah, the county is doing
County will
that.
take that to, off of Neptune or? take it-
Neptune.
Okay.
Neptune to Lakeshore Boulevard, and then we'll connect in from Lakeshore to C31 Canal.
And that's 2 years from now, but will we be breaking ground for Chisholm?
That is the plan. Yeah, the master plan should be coming to the city council for approval in September. And then with any luck, we found out today that we applied for a grant for that project. So cross our fingers, I think there's a good possibility we will get that grant. Won't fund the whole project, but it's a good chunk of change.
Very good. Just curious, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, for the 7550, which is special recreation facilities and the marina, they have an 8% decrease, and they have no variances over 10,000. And same for 7560, 8% increase and no variances over 10,000.
Are we getting rentals in the lakefront? The ballroom and stuff?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
was just curious if it was coming back and,
Oh, yeah, it's coming back. Yeah.
Okay, that completes Parks and Rec. Any other questions while Stephanie is here at the
Stephanie's
mic?
doing an outstanding job as usual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agreed.
And we didn't want to tell her yet, but we were going to give her the Cool as a Cucumber award this year for budget. We're trying to motivate our directors because she was the one and only director or department. We didn't have to contact her team. She submitted everything, everything was there, and also procurement had everything on time and everything there, so we thank them for that, because that's one less call we have to make, and they're just well-rounded, and so we appreciate that.
Awesome.
Need to get a big necklace of, bling bling and.
I don't want to tell them what I'm bringing, sir. Mr. Hogan, I'm bringing it to the directors meeting.
Get a
And we have
gold
other,
star.
yeah. So, but those are what I had told procurement. She was one of the budgeteers, so she was the special budgeteer.
Budgeteer.
That's right. So overall, that is your general fund at 59,071,184. To give you an overview, 38 million point two is personnel services, 15.1 million is operating expenditures, 16% of your budget. In capital, 1.8 million, 28% of your budget. Transfers, 329,198. In grants and aids, 741,760. And in contingencies, we are allocating 2,962,020. That it's a reduction of 45% in contingency for the overall 59 million for the general fund.
Awesome, thank you.
I have given you also just some questions that you had last year that you probably weren't thinking about yet since we have a new committee, but currently, to date, when we pulled these reports, the general fund has $2.4 million in encumbrances at this time. Okay? Moving on to the water fund, the 420, that is on page 137. 137 just outlines, as we reviewed ahead of time, the revenues. And the total budget, again, is $17,980,000 and $980,188. That's a 25% reduction. Beginning with customer service, 7050. Oh, this is the page, sorry. 1,975,659. This is a 50% reduction. In professional services, 18,000 variance. This is for added funds for the internal financial control and business process reviews that are occurring. In 3,400, in other contractual services, 10,100 increase. This is increased costs associated with the CIS version 4, the utilities billing upgrade. The third-party electronic services for credit checks and payment processing, this has increased due to the growth. In maintenance contracts, 46-01, 92,266. This is for the annual contract increase for our AUS billing software and added funds for the TextPower texting. This is also for, in relation to the data voice outbound calling software for customer notifications.
Jeez, it's a lot for texting.
It's a new technology, sir.
It is.
Plus, we're adding an average of 200 to 300 accounts per month, so they're busy. Water treatment, 751, 4,635,530, 9%. This is the first variance, 3,400, 13,000 in other contractual services. I'm on page 142. This is to account for adding the line item of other contractual services for landscaping contract with the Parks Department back into the budget. In 4,600, repairs and maintenance, this is the variant 59,082. This is accounting for, comes from adding a line for relining of contracts at water, WTP number 4, water plant 4. Overhauling of the security gate, also at water plant number 4. In 4601, maintenance contract, 78,500. This is to move lines such as tank cleaning inspection, security systems, fire systems, site secures, DI water systems to the element, 46-01, an increase in the maintenance price to clean the elevated towers, and also it increased cost to clean ground storage tanks. There was also an increase in cost to service those generators. In 5,200, operating supply, 75,708. This variance is due to an increase in the price of resin, salt, chlorine, and the lab supplies. Finally, in 6,400, $40,000 increase due to the replacement of a vehicle. Water line, 7052, 68% increase at 1,597,540. My apologies, that is your operating expenditures bottom line. Total for water lines is $3,591,672, a 42% increase on that. First element for variance is 31, professional services, 126,600. They added row permits, SCADA, transmission system improvements, condition assessments, asset management, water main replacement, fire protection master plan, and an operational efficiency consultant. In 3,400, in other contractual services, 141,895, they added GPR locating services and meter replacements by contractor, and they also increased the asphalt replacement amount. In 6,400, equipment and machinery, 462,650. This is due to all the equipment being moved from capital accounts to 6,400. 7054, I&E, instrumentation and electrical, 302,685, a 72% increase. This was actually implemented last year's first time as a division, so now they're really rocking and rolling here. They have 3,400 in other contractual services with a variance of 95.5. The I&E division is new and used to include another budget division and cost centers. So they transferred this cost over to the I&E department, as I mentioned. It was just created last year, and so now they're really absorbing costs that should have been transferred over officially. In 5,200, operating supplies, 34.8, they added telemetry controls, TCU, to the DFS software. This is a lift station repair items. They made a comment that it should be moved to the I&E wastewater, or at least 90% of it, so we'll look at that for them. 7055, water administration. 1,866,660, 172,000 increase, or 10%. Variances in this element, starting with professional services, 3,100, 70,643. These are increases due to the addition of financial and tactical planning, consulting, and review of as-built and mapping. In the 3,400, 123,900, this is due to the addition of temp employees, costs, and IFAS contract, and the communication outreach for water conservation and other outreach. In 4902, rebate program, 20,000. This is an increase due to the addition of funds for the conservation outreach rebate program. And finally, in 5202, vehicle fuel, this is 12,937. This is an increase due to the cost of fuel increasing. The administrative and general is listed there, including general bonds on page 152. Capital projects, which we'll review at the special schedules or other schedules, 1,655,000 at this point. And that is 17,980,188, or $5.9 million, almost $6 million reduction to get your 25% reduction in water. Page 155, this is the sewer fund. Revenues are listed at 15,706,698. First division is the 7061 wastewater treatment. $4.9 million, 599,697, or 16% increase. 3,100 professional services, increase of 361,250. We added funds for the SSWWTF expansion master plan, also the SCADA master plan, and update and conceptual reuse augmentation studies. 4,300 in utility services, 108,580. This is an increase due to electrical costs, due to increased flows and an increase in sludge hauling prices. 4,600 repairs and maintenance, 39,816. This is increase for the aging equipment and an increase in parts in the cost of parts. Wastewater line 7062. $3.7 million, or a $1.14 million increase, 43%. First variance at 125,000 is located in the 3,100 professional services, again due to SCADA, transmission system improvements, condition assessments, asset management, sewer main replacements, and operational efficiency consultant. In 3400, other contractual services, 143,020, adding meter replacements, GPR locating, sampling from the SSOs and sludge analysis testing, and an increase in asphalt replacement milling and paving and sewer meter calibrations. 5200, operating supplies, 25,554. This is an increase on lift station and order control, electronics, weed killers, and cost increases on various other items within the operating supply category. 6400, equipment and machinery, 874,850. This is an increase due to all equipment being moved from capital accounts to the 6400.
I have a question. I'm looking at 4,600. Did we discuss it? 'Cause I'm on page
Repairs and maintenance?
159. Am I reading that as a 27% increase, or $27,000, but I'm not seeing it on the variance?
You are duly correct. You do not get the full cucumber award. Just kidding. All right, let me tell you what it's all about here. 762. Like the flip pages? Okay. All right. In the repairs and maintenance level, items that, I'll read out the items causing the variances due to, some of them are price increases, some of them are additions.
All I'm asking is, I thought anything over 10, and I'm seeing the 27. I look down a little further, I see a 16, a 25 for operating supplies. Am I reading it, if I'm reading it wrong, it's,
You're not reading it wrong.
but I'm not seeing it in your variances at all. We're not talking about
You're not
those
reading it
large
wrong.
numbers of increases.
Yeah, no, you're not reading it wrong right now. We get with the division and have them add the variance. They might have not had that amount at the time or when they were doing, because the divisions prepare their variances. But we may have changed something or readjusted their budget, through talk. So I was gonna give you what's inclusive in it, so you would know what's covering the 27,000 difference if you'd like.
Sure. And again, if you just keep looking down, you're gonna see 25,000 and 16,000 as well. And maybe I'm again,
No.
that's,
No, you're correct.
20
You're looking at the right
25
thing.
is
I
on
just
there.
noticed that too. so.
yeah.
5,200 for 25, 554 is addressed on here, on their sheet. They're missing the 4969 allocated administrative charges, and they're missing the one you just, the 4,600. Those are the two that they're missing.
Yeah, you can go. I just was,
No, that's fine.
just kind of caught my eye and I didn't hear
We
about
can
it.
have them talk about what they put in there if you'd like and
Yeah,
more
why
operational.
don't we hear from them since they're failing to put it in there in the first place?
It's a
I'm sure it was an accident.
5200, okay.
Administrative.
No, that's in there. It's,
How are you?
what's it?
Good evening, Cameron Crandall,
Hi.
Deputy Director of Environmental Utilities.
Those are the two you're missing. 46 and
1 second, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Repairs and maintenance.
6902.
I've got a big binder.
6902, what did you say?
I might have over-prepared a little bit.
That's all right.
4969.
46 and
You don't have it memorized, Cameron?
I'm aging here. Losing my eyes now, yeah.
So you're missing 4,600 for 27,054, and 4969 is for 16,056.
Yeah, she wants to.
Those are the two that you missed.
Okay, for the 4,600 repairs and maintenance account. We increased the lift station emergency routine repairs. We've had a couple of sanitary sewer overflows associated with lift station issues in the past couple of years. And the FDEP is cracking down on sanitary sewer overflows. So a lot of these have to do with preventing overflow events, they're public safety and public health issues. I think we're also increasing some construction costs associated line items with those. We've had some sewer main breaks the past year. We're just trying to make sure we're accounting for that, so we don't have to.
So you're
budget transfers.
anticipating, this is just in case type of thing, and you're, like what, you've got 27,000, so I'm just trying to figure out what that looks like. I mean, what do we, you're saying repairs of these stations, what is that, 3,000, 7,000? I don't see it, so I'm,
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact line item breakout, which of these items were increased.
I'll help him out on that because that I actually memorized. So he has 234,612 of actual year-to-date expenditures. He has another 86,742 of encumbrances posted. So that's why he's asking for 400,000, because he has almost 100,000 worth of encumbrances coming through. He's got a trend of 287 and 412 in the last 2 years. So he's projecting 435, 990. He's keeping at a 6% interval of increase for calculating the just-in-case factor. But he has had actual performance. He's almost at 372,525 right now,
So
year-to-date. If
the-
he
so
clears his encumbrances and what he's already
so the
spent.
27,000s are for repairs or,
Yes, sir. He has sewer line repairs, he has lime rock in there, meter replacements, concrete, 200 yards of it, stone, 400 tons of it, repair kits, so a variety of them, but he is on track. He's only increased by 6%, and he's trending right there. If his encumbrances go through, he's almost at what he's asking already, so he's not asking out of bounds.
well, I just, again, I don't see the numbers, so that's why, I didn't see the variances in here, so I'm, just like on 4969, I didn't see that as well.
Okay, I can help address him with 4969. That's administrative, like overhead, so all the administrative cost centers, so finance, procurement, the city manager, all their costs are allocated out to the various enterprise funds based upon the amount of work that they cause the various departments. Like for HR, it's based on the percentage of total positions that the various enterprise funds that have. For procurement, it's like the amount of requisitions. For finance, it's the amount of invoices. So these costs have gone up because one of the things that we did to simplify matters is, like in finance, we're paying for the entire cost of the audit, where in the past, we would like have each enterprise fund pay a percentage. Well, now we're paying for it all and letting the administrative cost allocation process do its job, which is dole out the cost. Also, we were having some positions paid in various departments that were being paid at least partially or fully by the water and sewer fund, say, for example. Well, now we're just having them paid by the general fund and letting the administrative cost allocation do its job, which is allocate the costs. So that means that their labor costs are going to go down, but their administrative allocation costs are going to go up. I know that was clear as mud, but
Sure. I just, as long as, I just didn't see it,
I
so.
don't want to take you too far down the rabbit hole. But
We noted it, sir. What we'll do, and I just let the city manager know, we'll make an addendum to add those variances for the council, as we're noting that they weren't listed there,
Because the way
since you
you,
noted
the
it.
way this thing is being done this time is like really good, so. And that's why, so I'm really depending on,
Yes, sir.
I don't want to have to glance over and catch a, so as long as they're equal, then I'm good.
Yes, sir. We'll add the addendum and add those variances as they explained it, so we just have the record
It's just,
correct.
I'm sure, just an oversight. No problem,
I apologize on behalf of environmental utilities.
no problem.
They'll report for their lashings later.
That's
That's my fault.
no biggie.
Thank you so much, Cameron.
Thank you.
In instrumentation and electrical, 7064, 302,674, an increase of 142,395. First variance in contractual services of 95,500 is in the INR division. They're new. They've included other budget divisions and cost centers. Oh. Okay. And this was transferred from another account, so they moved it. Oh. In operating supplies, 5,200, 14,400 is the variance, not 34,400. They added telemetry control to the TSU and the DFS software. Lift station items increased by 50% of their cost, being in water, and then this also should be in sewer, and they recommend moving that. So 5,200 variance, please note 14,400.
Is this maintenance contracts at 4601?
Maintenance contracts,
Am I
sir?
looking?
No, it's
No, sir.
4601.
Yeah, they
Oh,
missed
46.
another
Oh, they missed a maintenance contract.
21,250.
Okay.
Yeah, 21,000 seems a little, I don't know what that is as well. And again, I'm,
Yep. No worries. 64. 4601, sorry. Okay. In 4601, there's a SCADA maintenance contract. This is split 50% between the water and the sewer for 4,500. The Allen Bradley tech support, 13,000. This is all split 50% with the water. SCADA upgrades, the software and hardware, is 14,500, again split 50%. Eden services contract for 5,000. And the GE iFix upgrade and support was added for $40,000. Overall, that caused the change of $21,250 from the adjusted budget of $39,005. Those are the components of it. I will add that to add to the variance. Okay. 7065 wastewater administration. 1,276,202, a 5% increase, or 60,968. First 3,100 professional services, 56,645, an increase due to the addition of financial and tactical planning, consulting, and review of the as-built mapping. In 4601, maintenance contracts increased due to the increase in MMS. That's 15,250, and then in vehicle fuel 5202, 20,062. This is an increase due to the increasing cost of fuel. Administrative and general follow. These are depreciation expense contingency. And the administrative general bonds on page 168. Capital projects on 169.
we
And-
did a transfer? Is that what the 109 or 100, 109 or 108? That's the 9,100.
Yep, the 109,751, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, sir, that is intergovernment transfers.
Are we going to put that, is that a variance that needs to be addressed or no?
No, sir, because it's an administrative and general allocation that we do. We normally don't have them
Okay.
take care of that. And the general bonds, as I mentioned before, capital projects, 169, which is $1,000,003, with an overall and proposed budget for the sewer fund of $15,707,698, a reduction of 17% overall. Moving along to the sanitation fund, this is your 440 fund, budget of $14,065,426, reduction of 10%. 7071 is the division department on page 172. 5,931,602 with 417,782, or a 7% reduction. First item, other contractual services, 3,400. 106,500. This is increase in debris collection and disposal due to the increase of the customer base. 4,400 rental and leases, 106,000. This is rental of 2 new side loaders for 2 new routes until the purchased side loaders are delivered. And then 49-69, again, this is the allocation admin charge that we just discussed for the sewer, same concept for the sanitation fund, $132,982. This is additional cost for administrative services provided to the division. The transfer station, 7072, $7,193,995, or a reduction of 5% equaling $371,479. And first variance is element number 40-00, travel and per diem. Additional tolls to the delivery of recycling to the Lakeland Recycling Facility, an increase of $15,463. 4602, vehicle maintenance, $33,800. Cost for the vehicle maintenance on aging fleet, a one-time purchase of loader tires, also factored into that. And then 49, again, 69, moving forward, 198-321, again, the administrative services provided for the division, and I will carry that forward for any 49-69 element in the enterprise funds as we proceed. Administrative and general, which includes the transfers, contingency, depreciation, expense, which will later be booked, is total budget for 440, $14,065,426, an overall 10% reduction equating to $1.6 million. 450, this is your stormwater utility. Overall budget, $2,501,895. Division of Storm, Streets, and Drainage, 7063. $1.8 million, $134,035 in reduction, or 7%. Only variance to report in the stormwater utility for this division is element 3400 at $149,588. This is the first year of implementing contracting major ditch cleaning throughout the city limits.
What's the commercial one at 7000? What's that mean? Just curious. 7000.
70. Oh, you're talking revenue, sir? That is revenue for, that is expected for commercial accounts.
No, we're good.
Mm-hmm. We are on one, past capital here. 186 is the final for this fund at $2,501,895. 1,000,003 in reduction, totaling 35%, and that fund is balanced. The building fund, building fund, Fund 460. In revenue, as you see on page 187, $3,853,554. This is a reduction of 51%, or $3.9 million. First division within this fund is licensing and permitting, 5510. $3,853,554. That is $192,788 of reduction, or less than a reduction of 5%. That is overall everything we have for the licensing and permitting division. They only had reductions. They had a $40,000 increase in capital outlay, but we normally don't make them do a variance for capital outlay because we list whatever capital outlay is there.
Travel and per diem. 40.
Yeah, it's on page 192.
Oh, I'm not even there yet. Oh, sorry, I haven't gotten to the variances for them. The element, we're on page 192 for those elements. I haven't reviewed them yet for building. Element 40 is travel and per diem, $13,074. They added out-of-state travel for this budget year. In 4601, the maintenance contracts, $14,023, added additional department software that will require annual maintenance. They also need additional licensing for the new staff. $117,525 in allocated admin changes, as we've already discussed, and $6,200 improvements in other buildings, $40,000. This is the addition to 811 Massachusetts for the added record storage cost.
How many is that for the travel? Is it 2 people, 1, 5 people? And where are they going out of state?
Okay. They are. Okay. For. All right. They have 7 current staff that are going to things like the IAEI chapter meetings and trade shows, 7 going to Disney training, 6 staff for the IBC inspector training, 7 staff to the CPM classes. That's only 2 staff, excuse me. Let me rephrase that. 2 staff for the CPM classes. They have Code Official Institute license and certification testing, 7 inspectors, 7 admin and tech staff, and they've had 5 turnover. That's where they're going. I don't know, the locations are not listed on the notes.
I was just curious where they're going out of state and how many. 7's a big number, so makes sense.
And those are all the variances for building. Water impact fee fund, this is the water impact fee, the 470 fund, $5,620,200. The impact fee funds, normally we just kind of go through them and give you the numbers because they're related to funding capital projects or whatever it may be. So you'll see the 470 in the expenditure showing what is funding what, which is the same as the revenues coming in, $5,330,200. Of those, $3.9 million is impact fees going to capital projects. Professional services, it lists out what capital projects, what we're paying for with the line items there for impact fees, as we traditionally kind of just go through them and advise you of impact fees being used. Sewer impact fees, same concept, $5,657,332. We have placed those in contingency under the 480 for the sewer impact fees. Capital projects as well funded at $376,000. This is new fiscal year 22. That's a 13% increase from last year. On page 201, the 490 fund, this is a new fund that we created for sanitation. This is the sanitation impact fees. We're projected at $546,401 of revenue. Usages for this would be capital equipment and machinery at $330,000, $216,000 in contingency. Overall, $546,401 for this fund. Okay. The 510, we're noting already that there are variances missing for the motor pool. We can discuss those. Budget is set at $1,889,000 or 26% above. $68,358 on element 4969 is the allocated admin charges. $5,200 in operating supplies, and I will give you the reasonings for those since they're not listed.
Do you have a page number you're?
Yes, sir.
tapping in?
This is page number 207.
Oh, I'm right there.
We're almost there. Bear with me. We're getting there. It's like. Okay. All right. That 510 variance in operating supplies for 10,400 in the 52-00 element. I will tell you what it's related to. Okay. This is related to disposal services, use filters, parts, and waste oil, part cleaners, shop supplies and overhead items, fasteners and wires, towel hardwares, sundry items, chemicals, scrap tile disposal, small shop tools and equipment, the technician tool and allowance at 5 technicians at $800, the spare auto and truck wheels, replacement of floor jacks and jack stands, and an operating supply for 2 new fleet techs since they're getting 2 new technicians. That is your 10,400 variance. Most of it is related to the new techs coming up. That is, you have books, pubs, membership, element 54-0, that has a variance of 43,050. That is
Yeah, that's pretty huge.
Yeah,
Some expensive books.
That's that fleet.
that's that
That's
Fleet
that
Wave.
fleet software I was talking about. It's 40,000 a year.
It's like a new song, these guys are like, Fleet Wave, you know? But also inclusive in that, the biggest component is the Fleet Wave annual subscription. It also includes other memberships, CDL renewals, and annual renewals for the Norwegian Identifix subscriptions. But that is the largest Fleet Wave at $42,000. Those are all the variances at 10,000. We will make a note to add that variance to explanations that I just gave you. 520 and 525 are normally your health insurance and workers' comp. We don't really go line by line with this, okay? So I'm just thumbing through so I can give you transparency as we walk through page 213 and let me get you the end. We are at 215 for economic development. This is Fund 630. We're almost there. We got one more Fund 645 and we can almost punt this thing home. All right, hold on with me. 454,264 for this fund for the proposed budget. It's a reduction of actually 66,000. I am just double verifying for you, but there was no variances. I see one in maintenance. Am I missing one? Yep, got it. Okay, 14,200. Give me a second. I want to give you the right amount. They have 7,380, but the actual variance was 14,200.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yes, sir. There was probably a shift after they prepared their variance, and so I'll tell you the remaining items for that, and I'll explain what they had on it. Give me one second. Okay. Their explanation at that point for the variances was an additional subscription to CoStar LoopLink. This is a web-based real estate service. As you continue into the 4601 factors to that, there was a 1% allocation of OpenGov. The CoStar is there, but there's also a website maintenance cost for $3,000. The Adobe Acrobat Pro for $200, and then the biggest one is the Metro forecasting, which is $25,000. That's really what kicked it up.
Why is there 2 4601s in your variance sheet? Am I looking at it wrong?
Because they did. Oh, look at, see, we're blaming them, and they did it. I was like, so it's 73,000, and then they did. Oh, they called it the wrong thing.
I can tell.
Because I got
28.
different numbers, and I've got
Yep.
4601.
I'm going to clear them up for you right now. That first 4601, like I told you, the actual variance is 14,200,
Yep.
which the Metro forecasting was the biggest. The next variance, they don't
even show it.
even have it. So that must have been originally there, and they didn't. The next variance that they have is the 82-0, which is the aids to private organizations of 15,000. That is the money we give out to private organizations. They've increased that.
You said 15?
Yes, sir. 15,082-00 is the.
But on their variance, it's
Shows
20,000?
Shows 20.
Yes, sir. It's 15,000. There must have been an adjustment for them, but it's
Gotcha.
15,000 is the official.
And you think the 46 is just an oversight that they've added and wasn't?
Yes, sir. I verified for you. The only variance is the 4601 maintenance contracts for
14.
14.2, sir. Yes, sir. So we reduce that to 15,000, which is the official. And then last and final, Fund 645, I'm sorry, this is Community Development. 6450 is the CRA, our final fund, at 1,702,593. It's a difference of 2.2 million, 57%. First variance here is professional services at 68,000.
Is it,
They're
is
all
that
wrong.
the adjusted one or something? Because I show 81,350.
Yes, sir, I'm gonna fix them for you right now.
Why are they putting?
Just keeps me employed, sir, that's the way I see it.
It's all right.
We will take
Oh,
care of that
found something to be
tomorrow.
useful in here, sir. All right, let's do math together. And professional services, 3,100, the variance that you are seeing there is 81,350. That is the official. It is related to consulting services that include marketing analysis and land sustainability at 55,000, property appraisal services at 25,000, and the RMA consulting services at 100,000. The next variance is 238,625 in the 34-00 or other contractual service. Okay, items that are included in that and causing variance are the 4 police officers with benefits, 68,500 times 4, and cameras. So the contractual service cost for the 4 police officers with benefits, causing that variance in other contractual services.
Is that the 4 officers, what are we referring to? Is
The
this a grant?
SRO officers that the CRA pays for?
CRA officers, CRA officers.
What did you say, SRO?
Yeah, there's
Yeah, your thumb was
That's
like,
it.
2 in a code enforcement officer, and they're getting additional 2 pending approval of the CRA. board.
okay, that's, I'm better now.
Okay.
SRO, CRA. It's the Marine side.
And you're gonna change the numbers, I'm assuming, since.
Yes, sir.
they're
We have
off.
noted all those for
Yeah.
you. And finally, operating supplies at 52,300 is the next and final variance for this fund.
I'm
That is
sorry.
element
Did
50.
Did you, you may have said it and I was still stuck on the other one. So
Mm-hmm.
we got the 4,300 is different than,
It's
Yes,
14,935.
yeah, I got 14.
14,935, yes, sir.
Okay. I have
So
it.
the 4,300 is 14,935. The 52,300, element 52 is where I'm at, operating supplies.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, they're way off. Wow.
Yep. All right, increases in that included computer software and recording media supplies at 500, which was an impactful computer setup for new admin staff, 2,000. But really, it's the downtown and wayfinding signs at $50,000 and 1 cubicle desk at $2,500.
What sign? A way sign?
Wayfinding.
Wayfinding.
Oh, okay.
Land, buildings, I have 100,000 and 220,768. This is for property acquisition of land and buildings. Those are the descriptions. They're increasing it this year. And I don't have listings of anything specific. They do their thing and they just put budget for that. Those are all overall variance explanations. We'll add that in the addendum for the 645. 1,702,593 within items including contingencies and other. It's 57% reduction at $2.2 million. And that is what they call the budget.
Awesome.
In your other schedules, this is just informational for you in statistics. We currently are at 737 in the Manning. We will be requesting the 18 total positions across the board. I'm going to promise, what I did was to tell you on the other funds, we will be at 755 positions available in the Manning. I told you all the general funds. In the 420, 430, which is the water and sewer, there's a line technician. In the water and sewer, again, an engineer, 1. In the 440 fund, driver, collector, 1. In the 460, or the building fund, the senior building inspector, 1. In 460, again, the building fund, the plans examiner, 1. And finally, in fleet 510 fund, 2 fleet technicians. That is 18 across the board, 11 to the general fund. There is schedules of debt. The 120 fund on page 229 is just listing the strategy this year was that the 120 was going to be used for addition and replacement of vehicles throughout the city, so we can structure that a little bit better and don't have to worry as much as we continue to build the strategy in the event that that funding reduces or changes in any way. So this is the first stab at changing that philosophy. A total of $4,485,849 across various divisions, and their purchases are listed there. And page 232 is just the proposed capital for fiscal year 22, outlined by type of funding source. You have water, sewer, then you have sewer projects, no storm water at this time, general government projects and funding source. We have the ranch and the master plan paving. For full disclosure, we have to add 4 additional contracts, is that correct? 3, sorry. RW. 3 additional RW contracts that we had the CIPs for and needed to add into and factor to this, so we'll be adding those as factored in. We'll factor them into the budget and give that before adoption. And finally, taxable property valuations. As you can see, the 2021 year has been added for you on page 233. And 234, page 234, are, of course, fund balance policies, $2,005,000. Our actual in 19 was 24%. Our estimated in 20 was 26. Our budgeted in 21 is 26. And again, our budgeted in 22 is 26. We are looking to continue this. We will be increasing the fund balance policy to 16.5. And I've shared with the city manager a second strategy is to set fund balance policies for the enterprise fund, as they do not exist right now. So that's the new strategic plan as we move forward for funding. That, gentlemen, is fiscal year 22, and it's been my pleasure to talk.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to add something, and you're going to laugh at me. It went right over my head. I did authorize the fire department to hire 3 additional people earlier this year. We had an unexpected FMLA situation, so we needed to cover those slots. So we did hire additional 3 firefighters. We had the budget to absorb that this year.
You're good.
I thought you'd laugh because being fire chief. So it went right over my head.
All right, I just have and again, it's more of a clerical type of thing. I was just going through some of these variances, and I'm just saying for consistency purposes, some have totals on the bottom, some don't. Is that per division chose to do it, not do it?
Some have what, sir?
Like totals at the bottom, I was just saying for consistency, I
Yes,
kind of
sir.
like it, because
yeah.
it's sporadic, so I do it, I don't do it. He does it, they don't do it.
You're speaking to an accountant, so, consistency is a beautiful word. We did set out a template, but, as we call it, there's a lot of departments that are very creative and innovative, so we appreciate them. They changed the template a little bit, and this is why we kind of try to keep it, but we'll help and educate a little bit more with that. That's not them, that's
It's
just filling
nothing
out,
of
yeah.
It's not, nothing crazy.
We have to
but-
provide them that to tell them we've never really directed them in that way. They do their variances and, so, but I understand. We'll
It's-
do that and,
it's just,
but that's on us. We didn't give them any guidance on that, so.
Parks and Recs, I'm sure probably did an awesome job. Look at her just look right up when I said
They
it.
did. I told you, we didn't have to call her once, not one time to that team.
Quick question before we being new kid on the block.
Yes, sir.
That for the next one, if I'm around, obviously,
Me too.
would it be possible to have a little sheet with all of the various abbreviations, I am acquainted with a BLT. I'm acquainted with COLA. Whatever. But when we get to the WWS, WYs,
Yes, sir.
SUS, and on, it'd just be
Yes, sir.
helpful for me to have a little better understanding of
Yes, sir.
what the MLS and all.
Or we'll
Yes.
stop using the jargon. We can
Yes,
do
sir.
that too.
I was trying not to give
That's
you
why I have
any.
my initials here, so I remember who I am.
Well, as a Marine, I appreciate it. We used to have names on, collars and everything just to make sure we didn't get lost, so,
Good
We
job.
will definitely add that, maybe a
Good job.
definition and
Thank you.
summary,
Yeah.
sir. So,
We didn't
absolutely.
have that in the Air Force.
They make the big bucks, They just take us around wherever we want to go. So, we will add that terms and definition for you. I thought I was doing a good job this year by not using, the whiskey tango and all that. I try to discipline myself this go around. But I appreciate it. And that, like I said, is the budget unless you have any additional ones.
No, I'm just looking at a couple things. No, you guys, kudos. I think it's probably one of the leanest budgets I've seen come across this is my 17th meeting. So I was almost all divisions were super lean. And you're throwing in COLAs and merits, so and absorbing stuff, so outstanding job. And then and again, we're adjusting to all that had been going on, but I think you guys did. Just kudos to everybody and the directors. Usually I have some qualms with some things, and everyone just tightened it up a little bit, and you guys just did an awesome job. And how this was done, we could have held the meeting at 6, so, But no, I like the earliness myself, so, awesome job. So, do we have any recommendations that you guys would like? Go ahead.
Like, could you give me the millage? Oh, sorry. Could you give me the millage if we do not do the rollback?
Sure, it is 5.1128.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any,
I just have a general observation, and so please forgive me for supporting what's been said, that my major concern is again, I get most of my information from news reports and so on and so forth, for this city is growing. It is growing, and you got an incredible job ahead of you to manage it and so forth. And I understand the uncertainties of number 19 and whatever other variants may come along and so forth. But with a 25% cut, I am just, I guess, overly sensitive to ensuring that we're protected, police, fire. I'm tired of seeing Channel 6 and others running features on the brown water and all the other crud they like to dig up. So that's just my concern. I'll be looking and interested to visit with each of the groups, because over the many budgets I've gone, that's a tremendous, well, for an operation this big. I mean, if it were, a $600,000 little church budget, fine, we do that. But this is a tremendously big growing, and I'm just concerned that they've got enough police cars, and that when I find my wife on the floor in the middle of the night, that there's someone there that can come and get her and take her to the hospital. Yes. Those kinds of things. And so I just share that overall concern that we are meeting the needs of our people.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hoagland. And again, this is the first time we've met. My background is in public safety. I'm very sensitive to that. I do know that's the #1 role of government. Like I said, we've talked about our deficiencies in the police department, both in staffing and in pay. And it's our commitment to address that sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Fire rescue is an excellent fire department, one of the best in the country, and have good response times. But again, we need to look at those harder, because as we grow, those will continue. As far as the water issue, We were addressing that. We've been addressing it for several years now. And myself included, I'm tired of hearing those news reports. And I will share with you that we're getting ready to do a very proactive and aggressive attack on that and get that cleaned up for the citizens. The reduction, as I spoke in the beginning, a lot of that's capital projects. And we went back and looked at those projects. So what can we realistically get done? So that money is on the shelf to address some of those issues, but because of COVID and because of the rapid growth we're experiencing, it's been difficult to make some of those projects. So we went back and looked at what's the priority and what's critical infrastructure needs as part of our strategic plan, and that's where we're going to address that. So we may scale some of those if we get some of those done this year. That's why we have a budget amendment process, but that money didn't go away. It's in the savings account, and we're prepared to use that to address your concerns. Well, and I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
That is a really good point. We always push it. I've always pushed it, public safety, and so I'm glad you're aware of it. And again, I was just curious about, are we, which I've already discussed about the hiring of police and fire. I didn't hear a whole lot about capital on where we were with the fire departments and things of that nature.
Can I have Chief Miller come up and give a quick overview?
Him being silent's a shock. So
I know.
absolutely.
I know. So I'm going to let it. He's back there.
He's biting at the bit. He's just like, let me say something.
Good evening, Jason Miller, Fire Chief. Actually, it's a good night when I don't have to come up here. So where we're at currently, Fire Station 32, we have received all the proposals from the different architectural firms. We're in the middle of our committee doing a review of those. As you know, we were not able to use the continuing service agreement because of the size of the station, so we had to go out to bid for architectural standards and engineering. Fire Station 35, task authorization's underway for that project. Again, architect and engineering, and we plan on obviously building Fire Station 32, rebuilding it first. Kind of allows us to upstaff and give some relief to that area over there while 35 is being built. That's our strategic plan as we go forward. After that, the next fire station on the block it's in the planning stages right now. It's going to go in 1 of 2 locations. We're still pinning that down hardcore, as you know. The east side is in need of another fire station. However, with some of the growth models we're looking at, there may be a need to not necessarily go with that Nora Tyson property quite yet. We have the county available right down the street through mutual aid and automatic aid that could cover that area, so we're looking at some other modeling that may come into play. Our training facility with the extra office space that we had talked about, it is at 60% plans currently, and we're hoping to have those plans done, ready to go, and out to bid before the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're covered. I mean, we saw what you have, and I want to make sure
we've been busy over there.
Yeah, just because
as you can tell.
Yes, so I just want to make sure, because I'm also, when we did our public safety meetings a year and 2 years ago, whatever now, I just noticed, like, is it Toho or whatever's across from Narcoossee, Neptune Middle.
Topeka.
Yeah, what I know. Like, I remember they were allotting property. Are we still aggressively seeking, when you're building X amount of homes, you will be allotting property for?
Well, it's more so that we're doing it based on where those developments may be and if we need a fire station as opposed to just the home count. We have language in our water sewer agreement with the Edgewater subdivision, which will be on the other side of the turnpike, that if we are in need of property, that we'll get property for a fire station out there. So yes, that's actively on the forefront. Even more so is obviously, as the development continues south, we're going to have to look into those developments south of the city if we venture to grow down that way.
Awesome. Well, as long as you're getting what you need. Again, I appreciated that tour. I would recommend, Bill, and if the board really would like to do it, I think other divisions, police, parks and recs, little tours, so we can start seeing, when people come in and say, hey, we want this, or we're going to be doing this, and sure, but we don't really get to see what they're talking about. And when I did that public safety tour, it was really eye-opening, some of the things that he had shown us in the past, Chief Gauntlet, things of that nature. I think these guys would truly benefit when you can actually put a name to what we're asking for, and so we can be an advocate for the public. So if you can start thinking about that, aligning with your groups up and going, hey, what do you think about date this, doing a tour with the police, date this, Parks and Recs, and different groups so we can start seeing these needs. So when they come next year, and it's not all at once, but next
No, I
year,
got you.
we have a better understanding of what we're looking at. And if we can time it, I'd prefer, after 4 o'clock. But
I promise if you come with me again, it won't be so late. We
I
were
was-
out,
no,
we
it was
were
good
out
for-
late that
No,
night.
but we did good. It was good for me. I wanted them to see it and experience it. I had seen it already, but I think people need to understand what's going on. So when we're voting and recommendations on our part, we want to make sure things are being done to the best of our ability. Like he was saying, are we covering public safety? And I know you guys, I'm speaking to the choir, but I just want to make sure that, I was just shocked how lean this was. Normally, we got a little fluff at different locations. I won't say what group in white, but other than that,
Stephanie's wearing white,
I
for the
know.
record.
She's like, oh my gosh. No. But no, just kudos to everybody and just some things to think about moving this group forward. I think it's such a new group and they have a lot of experience in life, but I think seeing how we do business, I think would be beneficial.
Yeah, I second that. I've lived here for 6 years, and I'm not sure I know which park is where and which one needs a roof, and I'm not sure I know when a sign needs to be, but I have no clue whether I'm in Zone 1 or Zone 4. Or so. And these tours are fabulous, and I'm ready to go whenever you want to go.
I think the other thing, Chairman, is we could show you our strategic plan too, show how it all links up. We've worked several years to try to link everything up and all our plans and our strategic.
That's true. That's really good. I think a visual of where we're going, where the growth is. We're going to build a road through here eventually, turnpike. Well, I think it'd be nice for everyone to
Okay.
get a good picture of it. And it doesn't have to be an all-day affair, but just like I said, the police did it before, the fire did it with us, and it was very eye-opening for me.
Start about 2:30. I'm just kidding.
We go 2:30, stop at Chick-fil-A at 4.
Okay, yeah. I like you.
That's right.
All right.
No, but again, the other part that I didn't mention was the focus on the security, against the cybersecurity. Because I just cringe when I see how many hospitals and cities and so forth are being slammed in the millions of dollars those groups are getting as we get more. So I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything about it. I just flashback of driving through Harmony. Are we doing anything green for us here? I didn't hear a whole lot of emphasis on green technology, solar, electric plugs, or whatever that seems to be coming. Are we doing anything like that? And if so, what is it?
One of the things we're working on is an environmental element. So we'll be doing some of that. We've talked to OUC about switching some of our buildings over to solar. Very expensive, but we want to do that in the future, and then they have a plan to do that. That's some preliminary discussions with them. We looked at EV vehicles. Again, the maintenance costs are very high on those. I think until the technology improves, we'll still have to go with the fuels, but we have looked at that also, and just the cost of maintenance would be very expensive. But it's definitely on the back burner.
Yeah, I was just curious because I remember seeing some solar farms, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
are we going in any direction like that? And all the new electrical cars, we only got to plug in at the lakefront or whatever. Do we have any others? Are we? I was just curious. I'm one way or the other. And maybe we're getting a new addition here. Plug it on the roof. I don't know. I just don't know if that's been thought.
Some of this building is run by solar. I don't know if you knew that. But like I said, we hadn't been in discussions with OUC about converting our energy over to solar. And basically, it's just purchasing the credits.
Yeah, I know it's just expensive though. It needs to hopefully come.
But
down.
it's environmentally sensitive too.
So, all right. Any other questions for these guys? So what we're going to do, since I'm not hearing any recommendations?
I have one.
Okay.
I recommend,
Talking to
Terry?
Mike.
I'm sorry,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. Floyd.
used to being loud enough. I would recommend that we recommend to the city council the budget as proposed with the 5.1128 millage.
Okay. Any other recommendations?
I guess my things I've commented on, my proposal that we have this focus, again, cybersecurity, the protection for our people and taking care of the groundwater and all of those things are my, I guess, is my main, I'm not against pickleball. I probably have driven by it and have no idea, but it doesn't rank quite as high as cybersecurity and some of these others, but I still love you.
All right. So what we would do after this is I'll adjourn the meeting. We'll redo meeting number 3, call roll, take a motion with any other recommendations or, and please note, this is what we would like to be recommended towards council. Just to be, this was your concerns, which I agree with as well. And take a vote and we'll be done. All right?
Can we go to the bathroom?
Yes, we'll do a quick break right now. All right, meeting is adjourned for 5 minutes.